MTG scoundrels, it's in the cardboard. Ladies and gentlemen, scoundrels of all ages. This is Modern Weekly. Thank you so much for joining us. Today on the docket, we have Esper Scam versus Izzet Murktide. Scam, of course, being one of the better options in the modern format. Izzet Murktide as well has been up and down. Once the best deck in the format, still one of the most interactive ones. Looks like starting out here we have a crack of a Marsh Flats into a Godless Shrine. Into Thoughtseize, taking us to 15 to 20. Looks like we are taking the DRC here. A little Dragon Rage Channeler. Land and Pass. Looks like that's a Misty Rainforest for the Murktide player. Marsh Flats passed for the Scam player. And looks like we'll have a crack here. Just taking one, finding a Surveil land. Surveilling a land into the bin. Spire Bluff Canal into a Ragavan. On the stack, it looks like. Looks like the Esper Scam player here is just going to cycle the Reprieve. And yet being recast here by the Murktide player. That taking us 12 to 19. Reprieve is a little bit of a rough card to have in this matchup. Unless you're specifically countering something like Murktide. Swamp into Teferi, bouncing the Ragavan to draw a card here. Looks like this has become a little bit of a rougher start for the Scam player. Ragavan being dashed to kill the Teferi. Time Raveler. And there is the Mole Drifter being evoked here to draw two cards. Looks like we have a dash of the Ragavan. After the land being played for turn, taken two. Top card to Fairy Time Raveler. That is a rough spot. Probably one of the best hits for the Murktide player. So I'm gonna bobble. Pass. Ragavan goes back to hand. Didn't even plus the Teferi here, unfortunately. It looks like we have a cycle of the Troll of Khazad-dûm to find a swamp. Draw a trigger from the bauble. And there is the Thoughtseize. There's a lot of gas in that hand. Taking the Murktide here. And into a Shadow's Prophecy for 4. Two in hand, rest on the bin, and a passing of the turn. Oh, yep. Tough playing against your own Teferi. Looks like Ragavan's going to get dashed here. Finding the reprieve off the top. Activation of the Teferi. And a pass. And knowing the information in hand, scooping it up here. Moving on to game 2. A couple things you could see, possibly Chalice of the Void coming in for the Esper Scam player. This Chalice on 1 tends to do a decent amount of work against these Murktide lists. That is until they have Murktide in hand and can cast multiple 1-mana spells to fill their yard and cast the Murktide. Murktide player probably bringing in Blood Moon here. Thank you all so much for tuning in to us here at MTG Scoundrels. Reminder that start times of the games are in the description down below. Looks like we're making decisions here on game 2. Misty Rainforest. After the Flooded Strand from the opponent. Cracking going to 17, playing out the Ragavan. Cracking on end step. Finding a Watery Grave. And pushing the Ragavan. There's a Hallowed Fountain going to 15. Into a Chalice on 1. And passing the turn. Looks like we got land pass into a marsh flats for the Esper scam player. Finding the Endatha Triome. Looks like Grief pitching Troll of Khazad-dûm. And that'll get counterspelled. Third land into Blood Moon. Cycling the Troll in response here. Finding that basic swamped opening to open things back up. Swamp being played. Into the Persist, targeting the Troll. The Troll will get a -1/-1 counter, making it a 5/4. There's the Expressive Iteration. Letting the Ragavan stay exiled here. An attack for 5. And a pass of the turn. Ledger Shredder for the Murktide player. Well, looks like we got another attack for 5. Murktide player taking it. It's like Lightning Bolt and Lightning Bolt to get the Connive trigger for the Ledger Shredder. Another Lightning Bolt. And an attack for 2. Attacking in for 5 once again. And there is the channel of the Otawara, returning the Troll back to hand. An attack for 2. And a Thoughtseize that gets countered. Passing the turn. Another attack for 2. Looks like we have another cycle of the troll here. Another attack for 2 by the Ledger Shredder here for Murktide player. Rough spot here for the Esper Scam player, not finding that basic planes. There's a persist. Might be a little too late here. Targeting the troll. Shredder attacking for 2. Looks like we have a casting of Ragavan and subtletying the Ragavan, pitching the Stern Scolding to get the Connive trigger. And then casting the Ledger Shredder. And a pass. An attack for 5. There's a bauble. And the attack in. Nothing doing. And Murktide will take it down here. Thank you so much for watching us here at MTG Scoundrels. We'll be back next week with more modern action. Appreciate all the love and support here on the channel from everyone. Please remember, if you enjoyed the video, to like and subscribe. And we will see you all next week.